Hey, some really good news, or depending on, I guess, if you're a fan of this kind of stuff or not. But Microsoft has, kind of come a long way recently, and, we keep seeing a lot of these announcements and stuff like that, which I think is a smart thing. I'm not sure if holding back announcements is such a brilliant idea these days, but, at the same point in time, Microsoft is trying their best, I guess, to become sort of a global brand, so to speak. So, we'll see how that kind of works out for them in the future, and maybe they're able to kind of get something kind of going. Again, like Microsoft has always been kind of a brand that did okay in like the US, and they did okay in like the UK, but not exactly okay in other places around the world and things like that, which is pretty unfortunate, because I feel like they have quite a bit of things to offer in terms of what they're doing in like games and all that kind of stuff, and they have good hardware. I think Xbox Series X is good. I even think the Series S is okay and pretty good for depending on what you're interested in. If you're just somebody who wants to play the games or whatever, it's going to be a good way to play stuff like GTA 6. If you want to play stuff like, college football and things like that. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, anyway, I want to get into this because this is very interesting. What's up, everybody? Crap Gamer here with Crap Gamer Reviews. Back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. Helps out the channel. Means a lot to me personally. I do daily gaming content, so if you're looking for content on the daily that is fun yet informative, look no further. All I ask in return is possibly getting a like, which would be awesome and very much appreciated as well. That's pretty awesome if you guys could do that. So again, Microsoft is about to do the Tokyo Game Show, which I think is pretty awesome. There's some leaks, and listen, take these with a grain of salt because we don't know how accurate they are or not, but there's been a couple different leaks that we might see some pretty impressive things from Microsoft at the show. I think primary among these leaks is a really cool game, or at least from the sounds of it, from Hideo Kojima, his OD game, which, again, we know very little about, but, it's one of those things that, I think everybody wants to hear more about. They want to see kind of what's going on and things like that. So, I think that's going to be super interesting if we actually get some kind of information from that. And the latest kind of rumor is that we actually might see something from him at that kind of event. Microsoft is sort of in a strange place right now for multiple reasons, but I do feel like, they can possibly dig themselves out of some of the pit that they've kind of embedded themselves in if they handle themselves right and announce some interesting things. Usually it's going to probably be something more catered towards that region, but, who knows what can happen, you know what I mean? There's a lot of companies that go there or whatever. Microsoft will be at the event to show off new information on Xbox titles and possibly reveal new upcoming titles. A lot of other companies are going to be there, like Sony, Sega, Square Enix, Capcom, and Konami. It starts on September 25th, so we're only weeks away from it. Obviously, Xbox is a little bit more dire state compared to last year. Clearly, when Microsoft appeared at last year's, it announced so much great news at the event. We finally got the Xbox port of Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. We've got, a cool looking indie JRPG inspired by Chrono Trigger called Threads of Time. StarCraft series being announced for PC Game Pass. More trailers for Metaphor. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, both of which would be some of the best games of last year, according to this. Fast forward nearly a year, and Xbox is now looking in more dire straits. While we've had some nice surprises like Ninja Gaiden being revived for Xbox and Final Fantasy 14 and 7 Remake finally coming to Xbox, Microsoft has taken some mighty blows to its gaming division. The company laid off over 9,000 employees, closed down studios, canceled Rare's games, canceled other games. The recent culling at Microsoft Xbox game division is part of Microsoft's $80 billion investment plan to bolster its AI infrastructure has left many in the Xbox community heartbroken and angry. It's reached a point where it's difficult for gamers to trust anything Xbox is saying about whether or not any of its upcoming games will definitely be released. Some even debate whether Xbox Game Pass is financially viable. In short, Microsoft is in hot water with some gamers. It will need to pull out all the stops to win back their favor at big events like Tokyo Game Show, and again, we'll see what happens. It's hard to kind of to stay away from discussing the corporate side of video games. Obviously, it's easier to discuss the games themselves, but with Microsoft's recent actions, it's becoming hard to ignore. It's one of those things where I hope Microsoft get out of this depressing situation that they're in and get back some fan support, especially now that they're seeing more PlayStation games like Helldivers 2 come to Xbox, which again could lead to others we don't really know. Like, I like Xbox, obviously I prefer to game on Xbox. The last thing I wanted from my friends to stop playing it because of Microsoft's corporate gaming side. And again, people don't believe this, but believe it or not, for me anyway, I had so many friends on Xbox, right? Like, just a ton of friends on Xbox, and now I'm down to like 12. Like, and the thing is like, I have lots of quote unquote followers, and that's cool, but I actually, like, the people that I actually game with are the ones that I will friend, and I just haven't really had a chance to game with much of the followers and things like that. It's just one of those things that I hope kind of can obviously change in the future, or whatever the case may be. But hopefully Microsoft can work something out. Personally, like I said, I would love to see some huge Xbox surprise or whatever. There's also like heavy rumors, and I think I did a video on this before, but there was some heavy rumors that Microsoft was going to go out there and have Forza Horizon 6 be announced, and I think that's something that everybody realistically could really get into and kind of enjoy. Like, for me anyway, my hope was that, hey, Microsoft can kind of get their act together. You get, because we know that they're building up next year, which is the 25th anniversary of Xbox, and they're going to try to release the big games, the Halo, Gears, Forza, and Fable. Unfortunately, I think Halo is just going to be a CE remake or remaster of that, and then of course you're going to have Gears E-Day, as well as the situation with the new Fable. So let's hope that that stuff all works out, because I would love to see those games kind of work out and lead to some success that actually kind of get people excited about the future of the Xbox. So I would love to see that happen. Listen, I don't know that it's going to happen. It's hard to say. Microsoft really needs to kind of get their act together a little bit. But I just have to think that right now Microsoft has to get the games kind of together or whatever, and get people kind of amped up and excited. So we'll see. And again, hopefully Microsoft can get something going, or whatever the case may be. Again, I feel like they could have some big surprises. You get OD shown, you get a couple other surprises shown, some things that maybe people weren't expecting. I think that would be absolutely awesome if they could do that. And that would be something that that really gets the kind of people excited again. You've got to kind of, I guess, space your announcements out, so I understand that a little bit. But at the same point in time, you know what I mean? It's like when you do your summer show, I think that's when you, like, all the stops are out. You know what I mean? It's like they've kind of canceled so many things and closed studios, and people don't really know if Microsoft is coming or going. But at the same point in time, us gamers are just kind of, we can be fickle sometimes. So it really kind of comes down to whether or not fans want to kind of be excited again, or not. Like, I think we're kind of in danger of maybe some fans giving up on Microsoft. And listen, I don't want to see that happen. There's been times where I have almost gave up on Microsoft, and and I think that that's probably a poor thing to do, especially given that the game has kind of changed so much recently. We've seen kind of Xbox put games on PlayStation. We've seen PlayStation put games on Xbox. So, it's one of those things where things are changing, but I still think that there's going to be a situation where things kind of stay the same in multiple aspects. Like, I don't think we're going to see, everything PlayStation come to Xbox, and certainly not day one, because you got to have reasons to buy these things, and I think that's the main thing that we're kind of seeing right now, is you've got to have reasons to kind of buy these different platforms. And if all the platforms have the same games, then what's the reason to buy multiple platforms, and that hurts the industry overall, in my opinion. Anyway, what do you guys think? What do you want to see from Microsoft? Let me know. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.